All right, guys, project number 3. We're gonna work on something that's a little bit more free-form, something that's a little bit more artistic, if you will, in a sense that I don't necessarily have an idea of exactly what I want you to make, okay? And I'm gonna show you some examples of some of the ones that I've done in the past, but keep in mind, there is no real right or wrong answer to this one. And for some of you, that's gonna be pretty difficult to take in. That's gonna be somewhat, you want me to say you're going to be making a mug, you're going to be making a bowl, or you're going to be making a vase, then it has to look like this. This project is not that. And that's one of the main things that I truly love about art in general, is the fact that there doesn't have to be a rhyme or reason to why you made something. And I really want you to kind of understand the concept of letting the clay speak to you. Now, that sounds kind of weird, clay is just dirt, but if you listen to the clay, it will tell you what it wants to do. Yes, that is kind of an odd statement to be listening to clay, but I want you to kind of be able to see what the clay is doing and then exaggerate what the clay does. That's where I want you to go with this particular project, okay? So I'll get into it a little bit more later on, but for the most part, we're gonna start out with a pretty good sized chunk of clay. Make sure, especially that recycled clay that we've been using, make sure to wedge your clay before you start. If you don't, there's a good chance that you're gonna have air bubbles trapped inside there. If there's air bubbles, you're gonna have a lot of chunks of clay that break off during the firing process. The other thing that this does is this mixes the clay together so that the hard clay and the soft clay can mix together. Okay, and so therefore the clay is more consistent, meaning that it's going to be the same firmness all the way through, rather than some areas being softer, some areas being more firm, okay? And that is a very important thing, especially when we're making larger projects and that sort of thing. The other thing is that if you happen to be using the potter's wheel, it's gonna be crucial, because as you're doing those pulls, if the clay is harder in one area and softer in another, you're gonna put more pressure in the softer areas and less pressure in the harder areas, and everything's gonna get uneven and it's not gonna weigh the same. So we're gonna start with a fairly large chunk of clay, all right? And this is gonna form the base of our project, okay? And I'm just gonna go over to the slab roller, roll out a slab, and then we'll get into the next one.